If there is a mismatch between the expected value and actual value, that is called as a defect. That is called as a defect. Now we need to send the defect to developer. Finally, the defects will be sent to the developer. So developer have to accept our defect. Developer have to accept the defect. If the developer accepted the defect, if the developer accept the defect, then that defect is called as a bug. That defect is called as a bug. Now, whatever the defect identified by you, so if the defect is accepted by the developer, then the defect is called as a bug. Take the definition for the both things. The heading is defect. Note it down. If there is a mismatch between expected value and actual value, if there is a mismatch between the expected value and actual value, that is called as a defect. If there is a mismatch between the expected value and actual value, that is called as a defect. Right. Take another small heading, bug, B-U-G, bug. Take the definition. If the defect was accepted by the developer, if the defect was accepted by the developer, then that defect is called as a bug. Okay, if the defect was accepted by the developer, then that defect is called as a bug. Right. Now, who will identify the defect? As a QA engineer, we need to identify the defect. I mean, in your test case, if the expected value, actual value, both are mismatched, then we can say like that is a defect. We need to send the defect to developer. If the developer accepts the defect, then it is called as the defect is called as a bug. Right. Now take a main heading, bug life cycle. Bug life cycle. Within the brackets, you can write BLC. BLC stands for bug life cycle. Right. See, in the next class, we are going to see the bug reports. But before entering into the bug reports, we should familiar with the bug life cycle. So in the bug life cycle, we are going to see the different status in your bug life cycle. I mean, in your bug report, how to maintain the status, we are going to learn in the bug life cycle. See, when you are identifying a defect, just listen, when you are identifying a defect, initially the defect will be entered into the bug report. Initially, the defect will be entered into the bug report with the status of new. What is the initial status? Initially, the defect status will be new in the bug report. In your bug report, the initial status is new. All the new defects will be sent to the developer. All the new defects will be sent to the developer. Developer will analyze the defect. So why the developer will analyze the defect? For confirmation. For confirmation, really is it a defect or not? Really, is it a defect or not? Really, is there any problem? The developer will analyze. Developer will check. So after that analyzation, after that checking, if the defect is invalid, developer feels like the defect is invalid. That means there is no issue. Then simply developer rejected your defect. If it is invalid, simply developer reject it. So after reject it, again it will be back to the tester. It will be come back to us. Okay, ma? Right. Now coming to the next one. If the defect is valid, whatever the defect sent by you, if the defect is valid, then the developer accept the defect. Developer accept the defect. What is the status for accepting? open. A developer will make it as open. Open means yes, the developer accepted your defect. After accepting, developer will fix the bug. After accepting, developer will fix the bug. So what is the meaning of fixing, Amma? Fixing is nothing but he will solve the problem. Developer will solve the problem. So after fixing, so the status will be either fixed or resolved. 90% in every company it is like a fixed only. Maybe in some companies it may be called as a resolved, fixed or resolved. See, okay, ma? If the defect is a valid, then developer accept it. After accepting, the developer will fix the problem. After fixing, the status will be either fixed or resolved. See, if the defect information is not clear, whatever the defect sent by you, if that information is not clear, simply developer will make it as a hold. Developer will make it as a hold. After the hold, developer will communicate with the tester. After make it as a hold, the developer will communicate with the tester. So to get more information about the defect. Why the developer communicate with the tester? To get more information about the defect. So whatever the defect sent by you, if that information is not clear, developer will make it as a hold and developer will communicate with you to get a more information about the defect. Next, if the defect is postponed. See, if the developer is busy with some other task, then the developer can make it as a postponed or deferred. In some companies it is called as a postponed, in some companies it is called as a deferred. Okay. See, next one, duplicate. By mistake, if you send the same defect for 2-3 times, by mistake, if you send the same defect for 2-3 times, then simply the developer will make it as a duplicate. See, if the defect is already reported, then the developer make it as a duplicate, right? See, now coming to the next part. See, after fixing the major bugs, who will fixing the problems? Our developer. Our developer will fix the problems. So after fixing the major issues, then the modified build will be released to the QA team. We are getting a modified build. So why the modified build released to the QA team? We need to conduct the retesting and regression testing on that modified build. So in future, maybe within 1 or 2 days, we are going to see what is the retesting, what is the regression testing. So in depth, we are going to see. But before that, today roughly we can understand. See, regression testing means verify the side effects. Regression testing means verify the side effects. Now, due to the modifications, is there any side effects? Verify the side effects is called as a regression testing. Retesting means, see, verify the problem is really fixed or not. Verify the problem is really fixed or not. So that is coming under retesting. For your understanding purpose, I'll explain a small example. For example, a general example, a person is suffering with fever. For example, a person is suffering with some cold or fever. You given a tablet as a friend or as a family mate, you given a tablet, medicine for the cold or fever. He taken that medicine. After that medicine, and the next day, if you check, really the problem is fixed or not, that cold or that fever, really the problem is fixed or not. So that is called as a retesting, just a confirmation. Retesting is also called as a confirmation testing. And the next day you'll ask like your problem is fixed or not, that cold or fever is clear or not. So that is a retesting or confirmation testing. But on the next day, you may ask like due to your medicine, is there any side effects? Due to whatever the medicine given by you, due to that medicine, is there any side effects? So verifying this side effects is called as a regression testing, and retesting means confirmation testing. So really the problem is fixed or not. So verifying that, confirming that. So that confirmation is called as a retest. So in future, maybe within 1 or 2 days, in depth, we are going to see what is a retesting and what is a regression testing. Today, just roughly I explained it. So after conducting all this type of testings on the modified build, if the bug is really fixed, if the bug is really fixed, then as a QA engineer, we need to close the bug. We need to close the bug. So here, the bug fixing is different, the bug closing is different. Who will fix the problem? Who will fix the problem? Fixing is
Developer.
developer. Fixing is done by developer. Who will close the problem? Closing is done by the QA team. I mean, as a QA engineer, we need to close it. Now, when you will close it, after conducting this retesting and regression testing, really, if you feel like the problem is fixed, there is no issue in that, the problem is solved, then only you need to close it. So as a QA engineer, we need to close the problem. So who will fix the problem? The developer will fix the problem. That is many people are confused about the fixing and closing. So fixing is done by the developer, closing is done by the QA person. Really, if the problem is solved, really if the problem is solved, then you need to close it. But still there is a issue. After retesting, regression testing, you feel like still there is a issue, the problem is not properly solved, then reopen. Reopen means simply it will go back to the developer again. That means still there is a issue, it will go back to the developer. Right. See, this bug life cycle is available in your material only. See, in your material, in your manual testing folder, you can see a Word document, BLC, bug life cycle. See, in interviews, it is helpful. In our real-time environment also, it is very helpful. Why? Because if you know this status, then only you can prepare the bug report. See, initially, whenever you are identifying the defect, what is the initial status? The initial status will be new. So what the developer can do? Developer can reject it, developer can open it, developer can hold it, developer can default it, developer can make it as a duplicate. So when the developer will make it as a reject, if it is a invalid defect, developer can make it as a reject. If it is a valid, developer will open it. Open means accepting. Developer accepted your defect. After accepting only, developer will fix the problem. After fixing the problem, the status will be either fixed or resolved. After fixing the major bugs, then the modified build will be given to the QA people. Okay, we need to conduct the retesting, regression testing. So really, if the problem is solved, you need to close it, else reopen it. See, if the defect information is not clear, whatever the defect sent by you, if the information is not clear, developer will make it as a hold, and developer will communicate with the tester to get a more information about the defect. Right. Now, what is a deferred? So deferred means simply postponed. In some companies, it is called as a postponed. In some companies, it is called as a deferred. If the developer is busy with some other task, then developer can make it as a postponed or deferred. See, next, by mistake, if you send the same defect for 2-3 times, then developer can make it as a duplicate. Now, today you need to study this bug life cycle at your home, and 2-3 times try to draw the bug life cycle on a white paper at your home. Okay. So by seeing the diagram, try to draw it. After that, without seeing the diagram, so try to draw it. It is very, very important thing. Okay.